Hey, Internet. I'm Andrew with Knights of the Drunk Watch, and we're here to review, I guess, Season 2, Episode 1, depending on how you look at it, The Haunting of Bly Manor. The first episode being The Great Good Place. We are the Knights of the Drunk Watch, and now our watch begins.
Talk, guys. Talk.
I mean, the turn of the screw is all about the nanny and the two kids who see ghosts.
But it's the same setup, just different time frame, I take it.
Yes, yeah. Same setup, different time period.
Yeah.
And we are introduced to Shiny Glasses Guy. So when we were first introduced to him in the car that she almost gets hit by.
I honestly thought that was Elijah Wood for a moment from Sin City.
Yeah, me too. I had that one.
Yeah.
I thought she was being haunted by an anime villain. So
yeah.
Oh.
So anyway, so Dani has her own ghost, and that ghost is not part of Turn of the Screw.
Okay.
The nanny doesn't have her own ghost, but she does in Bly Manor.
She's haunted in her own way.
So anyway, so she gets the job. She goes out there. Let's talk about Flora and her dolls. Flora has a lot of creepy dolls.
Yeah, I mean...
that are adaptations.
Yeah.
Are they? I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Well, the dolls represent different people. Some of them she's made. Some of them she's,
You're talking about the little bitty dolls, not like the big baby dolls.
Correct.
Yeah,
the dolls.
These are the things that live in Flora's dollhouse. I believe they're later referred to as talismans or something.
Yeah. Because she also has like the ones. Anyway, I think that's later. But she also there are dolls fucking everywhere in this show.
Well, she's a little girl.
But I do think that there's a clear indication that every one of those dolls represents a ghost in the house.
Yes, you easily get that idea.
And there's quite a variety of them.
Yes. Yeah. And it's odd.
And then so Flora takes Dani on a tour, and just about every place in the house except the classroom is perfectly splendid.
Oh my gosh, I wanted to slap that child.
Oh, she's adorable.
That was so cute. Here's the kitchen. It's perfectly splendid. Here's the classroom. It's boring.
Yeah, it was great. And it had its moments like what Andrew just said, but I know that we're on episode 4 now. She doesn't shut up about it.
That's true. It's definitely a signature phrase.
Yes. And so Hannah Gross, the housekeeper.
She's odd right off the bat.
Yeah. She's flighty instantly.
Well, and I noticed right away that she doesn't eat or drink.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Hannah is a living person.
Neither do I.
That was the biggest thing where she took her meal to the room, and huge.
Yeah,
huge,
like she didn't, and we'll talk about this later. But she takes the full plate of food away. Oh, I'll eat it later. And then Dani looks at her tea and realizes she didn't drink any of the tea.
That one though you can kind of write off as Dani just doesn't know how to make
her tea is the worst.
No, but it's a running theme, and for sure, for 100% sure, Hannah never eats. At least in our presence.
But I do want to talk about how, especially since it's mimicking, Turn of the Screw, or it's drawing inspiration from it, how very different. Like, I was so happy to see them cast somebody that you wouldn't normally, like, that is not what you imagine when you think British housekeeper.
No.
And I loved that, like, they were like, why do you feel like that all British housekeepers are old white ladies, which is what my brain was expecting, and Mrs. Doubtfire's, and instead we
and she certainly would be in the original story, which is set in the 1800s.
And the answer to that question is because everybody would have guessed, oh, that ain't no live-in housekeeper. It would have been too much of a giveaway, I think.
Well, I just love that they cast a woman who is not only so beautiful, but embodies the role, but also turns your expectations on their head.
I question the choice of costuming as my choice. Like, she doesn't ever dress like she's a housekeeper, like working clothes. Like she always looks so fashionable.
It was the 80s.
Even when she's like vacuuming the walls or whatever, like she's
in lawn, she's like dressed with boots and earrings. She's always dressed to the nines.
Well, but I almost wonder if that's not kind of like a,
Ghosts
like,
don't sweat.
Not only Ghosts don't sweat, but like the fucking butler wore tuxes. Like people in Manors, everyone is dressed. You're not going to be doing the laundry in your sweats if you're the housekeeper of Bly Manor.
And the owner of the Manors, fucking gone.
Yeah. And they're just kids. So like they can be both less and more formal than
she's dressed casually, professionally, I'd say.
If the Dowager Empress was visiting, everybody would put on their uniforms.
I'm just saying I would.
But until then, it's
casual
Friday.
I wouldn't wear fashionable clothes to clean my house. I just would assume you would have functional clothes, not fashionable. She could wear. I like what she's wearing. It's questionable. That's all I'm saying. It's odd.
I think it's part of that whole idea of turning the concept that we have on its head and doing the unexpected thing, which I appreciated a lot.
Okay, so let's talk more about Flora and that she sees ghosts.
Yep, she's Haley Joel Osment.
She seems to see a lot of ghosts over Dani's shoulder.
Yeah.
Including, now I don't know if this was necessarily Miss Jessel or another ghost, but when she freaks out about the butterfly comb, she seems to get permission from the ghost to let her keep it.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, she freaks out about it, and then she looks over her shoulder and she says, "I'm wrong, it's fine."
That little looking out for her shoulder, that freaks me out. That is like freaky.
Well, that little girl, I feel like both the kids are so well cast.
Perfect.
Between the little girl and Miles just being an utter creep, and like they both do their creepy British horror child so well.
I don't know, like Miles as Miles the kid, and like I said, I don't want to get into other stuff, but like Miles as Miles the kid, like I like that kid. I was like, he's cool. He's precocious. He speaks his mind, but he's also, respectful. Like I like Miles.
Again, I didn't trust these kids from the moment I saw them. And the one who bothered me the worst was Flora. It wasn't the talking to ghosts, the looking over the shoulder and talking to that. It was how perfectly splendid everything was. Like that just like was sending chills up my spine every time she said, "It's like, and this is where we'll bury your body when you're dead." It's perfectly splendid. They just cut that scene out, She was the scariest thing going on in that whole time.
We see our first mysterious background ghost, I think. First major mysterious background ghost in the Plague Doctor.
Oh yeah.
He was everywhere. Like I don't think there was a
at the
scene
end of the
in that first episode.
I didn't really notice him until that first night when she started walking around the house. Was he there before then?
He was in the background of a shot where I believe Dani was walking through the halls, didn't make a move, but if you were sharp-eyed, you could definitely see.
That's when she was.
Pile of Plague Doctor back in there, back in the corner. Yeah.
I don't want to start the shade early because I do have plenty of shade to give.
Oh boy!
But this is the shade. I feel like this was the one and only episode that was scary to me.
Yeah, but I also think that this season, because we also had that conversation of like, this isn't like the first season was so scary and good scary, and this really isn't. But also, like, I feel like this one is in the same manner building a good story. Like it adds things every episode, and we get like more and more layers, which the other one did. Maybe not as well, but it made up for it with the scares.
I think the two things to think about, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more as we get deeper. The two things I kind of latch onto is that Hill House was more of a horror story, source material,
Sure.
and Turn of the Screw and James's material, Henry James, is ghost story. And a ghost story has and the ghost story tends to have a slower burn. And and then you tie that to also with most shows that have a real hot first season, the second season almost can't live up to it.
Yeah.
And so it always feels like a step back. I'm really enjoying it, but it's just it's a much slower burn than Hill House was.
Yeah, I'll discuss it a little further as we move on, because there's some things that just.
Well, and like I said earlier, my biggest critique was I put this on because I wanted to be scared. And it just, the glasses ghost didn't do it. The plague doctor ghost didn't do it. You know, I just wasn't getting what I want. But Andrew, you put it so eloquently. There is a lot more craftsmanship in this story. And it's definitely not as like jump scare, even though Hill House did that so well. It did a great job. But I was definitely looking for a lot more, just start.
I think that was my problem as well. Is like I went over there and I was like, I'm ready to watch some scary crap that's going to scare me. We turned off all the lights. We were like ready. It's the Haunting of Bly Manor, and it was. Whereas, like you said, the story is amazing. I'm enjoying the characters. I'm enjoying everything that they're doing with it. I would love this show if they hadn't sold it to me as something that was supposed to scare me, because I was looking for that fun and I didn't get that.
You're looking for the sequel to
just that same level of combining, because they did a really great job in the first season of combining like how your emotional state translates into your own hauntings. So there was a good balance of like people's personal stories manifesting as ghosts and things that scare them, which I feel like this one is not doing for me yet. It may change in the second half of the season. So
they're doing a great job of like bringing in the different actors and being like, here's one. They do it a little bit every episode. So we got 2 this episode. I think just 2, right?
Three.
We got 3. So we got the mom, the dad, and the
Nell.
All right, so we are the Knights of the Drunk Watch, and now
our talk
is ended. Good night, everybody.